All right, welcome to Monday's show. Man, I tell you what, you didn't even know what you're in for. Welcome. And I tell you, we got all kinds of news.
I can tell them what they're in for. They're in for a small treat. It's definitely what they're in for.
A small treat. Yeah. All right, we have housing news, we have gardening news, we have midget news. You can't say that. Shut up. I can say whatever I want, and I'm going to say a lot as soon as Zach plays the opening music.
Stand by for education, enlightenment, enjoyment, and entertainment.
He's not here to talk about your feelings. He's not here to say what you want to hear. He's here to say what needs to be said.
Ladies and gentlemen, and children of all ages, please welcome your host, the pimp hand of America, Professor Paul Markle.
Yes, indeed. All right. Well, congratulations, first of all, to Jared, who gave birth to a house. You gave birth to a mortgage.
I did. I gave birth to a mortgage.
Yeah. So now you know what it's like to give birth.
Yeah. Yeah, now I can tell Alex. I know what it's like to give birth to, and then she'll smack me in the face and say, shut up.
Say, no, you don't. That's the same thing. Like, actually, my labor process was longer than yours.
Yeah, it actually was. However, carrying the thing was not. So I guess maybe it evens out.
So congratulations to Jared.
Yeah, I actually had the group of people. I want to take a second to say thank you to everybody that helped me this weekend, helped Alex and I and my family get into the new place. We still have a lot of stuff to do at the old place, but we've got all of the stuff that we can't move in our car and our SUV is in the house. So thank you to everybody.
Good. Yeah, our friend Josh sent me a text. I said something about reading the new book or whatever. He's like, I don't have time. I'm helping your son move his ammo can collection. I'm like, where do you think that came from?
Yep. I was like, dude,
your ammo can collection originated.
Yeah. That's something that I borrowed from my father.
Yeah.
Borrowed/stole. What?
I told you guys that I was going to do this. I told you when they announced it, I was like, I am there. And it transpired. They had midget wrestling here in Riverside. You're like, you can't say that. You're not allowed. All right. First of all, they refer to themselves as midgets. That's like, it's what's his nuts? The guy who did
John Mulaney.
Pulp Fiction. No, the guy who did Pulp Fiction.
Quentin Tarantino?
Yeah, Tarantino. You know why Tarantino does those movies with Samuel L. Jackson?
So he can say the N-word?
Yeah, exactly. So he's allowed. Yeah, he can because he's special.
I thought you were gonna say the John Mulaney thing where he was writing on a show, and his producer tried to tell him that midget is just as bad as the N-word.
Yes.
You remember
no,
that?
It's not.
Yeah. It's like, first off, no, it's not. Second off, when you're comparing two words and you won't say one of them, that's the worst word.
Yeah. All right. If you guys have never watched that, I can't remember what special it is.
It was
has a thing about
New in Town.
Was it New in Town?
It was New in Town.
Okay. Thank you.
Still New in Town?
John Mulaney has a special. It's on Netflix. It's called New in Town. And he does a bit about writing a skit with the word midget in it and being told you can't do that. And he said, because if you do, they'll be outside protesting. And he said, do you promise?
Yeah.
You promise? Yeah, he used to write for Saturday Night Live. So anyway, we went to it was a little production. It's obviously a road show. They go from city to city, and the crew was from California, but they can't perform in California because they're not allowed. They can't have crowds and blah blah blah. And the guy who was like in charge of everything, the ring announcer slash DJ slash, I'm sure he's the manager, producer, and everything. He got in the ring and he had some choice words to say about California and what they can do. I'm like, well, hello, exactly. But they had a bunch of little people of various sizes, both male and female, and they had a little ring, and we had bleachers. And your mom and I went. We had dinner first, and they did it out back, in the back area. It was outdoor production. So fortunately, and the weather was great. It wasn't windy. It wasn't windy, and it wasn't raining, and it was great. So, and Miss Nancy had a good time. She didn't expect to have such a good time, but she did. Oh, and what I was going to tell you guys is, so at the last thing they did for the night, it was a no holds barred production. So if they wanted to grab a trash can lid or, they did a chair bit. But it wasn't. Here's what they did, Zach. You'll appreciate this. So our white plastic classroom chairs.
Yeah.
Well, they had some of those around the ring for the audience, right? So the guy gets out and he starts grabbing these white plastic, chair, Costco chairs, and throwing them into the ring. I was like, are they actually going to do a bit with plastic chairs, not the aluminum ones that they don't in there? And they did. They did a bit.
I think those would hurt more than the aluminum ones.
That's what I was thinking. They would probably hurt a lot. Well, they had the one. They set the one midget pushed the other midget up onto he set the chairs up, and he pushed them up on them, and he went up to the third rope, and the guy rolled off the chairs right before he hit, so they spun out, and then the woman, they had a full size woman who's part of their Battling Bombshells tour. The full size woman, she gets in there and she grabs the chair, and guess what she did, Zach?
She did a backflip off of it.
No. What do women do with chairs?
The gut poke?
They hold them wrong.
Did she hold it up by the seat?
Yeah. She grabbed it by the top so that the legs were facing the guy.
Oh, yeah.
And he saw what was coming, so he did the half duck, and she hit him over the back with it. But what have we said? How many times have we said women don't know how to use chairs?
Yeah,
if you ever watch a match,
they always grip them way too high or something.
Yeah, Jared, if you ever watch a WWE match, you guys in the audience, you ever watch a WWE match? Yes. Women, very rarely does a woman do a chair bit correctly. They almost never do. And they got to go to chair school, right?
They got to go to chair school.
Chair school. No, it is part of their teaching, to my knowledge.
When you go to wrestling school, there's there's chair class, and then there's kendo stick class, and then there's fall class.
There's table class.
I think you are significantly overthinking it.
Huh?
I said, I'm pretty sure you are significantly overthinking it.
You don't think when you go to the Performance Center, it's broken down okay, today from 9:45 to 11, we're going to do chairs, and from 1 to 2:30, we're going to do rope.
Well, I mean, there's a difference between lessons and classes. Like when you say class, I think there's a whole, whatever.
There is. There has to be. Anyway.
I want to say good afternoon to Mr. Thomason, who is watching from Facebook. He's in Sweden.
All right. Hey, man.
James Hootie. Hello. Blake Chin. It's good to have you here. And Eric Lord. Welcome, guys.
Cubby, Roy, Annette.
Yep.
So the finale was they said earlier, they said, don't leave, because we're going to auction off a chance. They had an aluminum garbage can full of stuff. They had a cookie sheet. The midget chick, she smashed a cookie sheet over the one guy's head and all that stuff. So he said, we're going to auction off the opportunity to smash a midget wrestler with a garbage can, right? And in the audience was a livestock auctioneer, the guy who actually auctioned livestock. So he told the MC, he's like, hey man, I'm an auctioneer. You want me to do it? And the guy's like, yeah, that'd be great. So the show ends, and he's like, okay, it's time for the auction. And he calls the guy in there, and he gives him a microphone, and he says, all right, go ahead and start the bidding. And the guy's like, well, I need some callers. And the guy from California, the MC from California, you need some what? Callers. Because, yeah, you know what a caller is in an auction, right?
Yeah.
He's the guy who stands out in the audience and points. And goes, right there, second row, right? So he's like, I need some callers. So, of course, there's a bunch of cowboys and cattlemen in the audience. So they all know.
Yeah.
how to work a livestock auction. They all know how to be callers. So they're like, all right. So 3 guys get up and they go on different sides of the ring, and he stands in the middle. He's like, 500. He got it all the way up to $500
to smash a midget in the head with
$100
trash
to
can.
pick up an aluminum garbage can over your head and smash a midget with it. And then you get to keep the can, and they signed it, and they did a bunch of stuff. But
now, did you have to do it stationary, or could you like roll off the ropes and then smash the people?
The ring's only 8x8. It's not a very big ring. So the guy stands there, and he's like, I'm ready. And the guy took the thing over his head and was like, pow! And smashed him with the aluminum garbage can. Oh.
The liquor had been flowing by that time, I'm sure.
Oh yeah. People were, yeah.
$500.
And so anyway, the guy from the MC who's in charge of the group, he said, he goes, I learned something today. He said, I knew what an auctioneer was. He goes, but I've never been to a professional livestock auction. And he said, I didn't know what a caller was, and I didn't know that was part of the routine.
Like, you're welcome. Now you can take that to your next show and make
go.
some
There
jokes
you
about
go.
it. Andrew Quintana says that's some fantastic calling to get $500.
I know. I was like, is this guy serious?
I would have went full Ric Flair if I was the dude smashing the trash can. I'd have been like, kapoof, woo!
You know what you could have done is, Zach, drop it over his head and then drop kick him.
Yeah.
Yeah, just push it over his head and double foot drop kick. Pow!
Fun stuff.
There you go.
There you go, buddy. I'm getting my $500 worth. And the name of the production is Micromania. Like
that was the actual that was on the bottom of the ring, right?
Yeah, Micromania. And if you go to Facebook, they actually have their own webpage, and Micromania Tour is the name of the website. The Micromania Tour.
If you Google it,
get your
does
tickets
not
now.
Come up with the thing.
Yeah. They have a wrestling training school. They have tour dates. They have a belt holder. Man, they got all kinds of stuff. Yeah. So if you want to take part in that, just you get on it. And your mom, Zach, your mom's like, I can't believe that they're allowed to use the M's like that in the Micromania. I'm surprised Vince McMahon doesn't get mad. I'm like, I'm pretty sure Vince McMahon is not aware of the Micromania tour. He's kind of a busy guy.
Yeah. Not aware and also doesn't care.
They're going to be at Sturgis.
Yeah. So there you go. All right, what are we going to talk about today? We got a SWAT Fuel Warrior of the Week question. And if you want to be the Warrior of the Week, if you'd like to call in and hear your own voice, call 844-207-7684. And Jared, if this person hears their question, what should they do?
Could call. Sorry, I was looking at the tour dates for the Micromania, because they're not going to come here. Sadly, I need to go. If you are chosen as the Warrior of the Week, it's really simple. Just send your name, mailing address, your phone number typed into the body, and your email typed into the body, and you're going to send that to info@studentofthegun.com. And you already went over on how to do it, to call the number and blah blah blah, right?
Yep.
Good. So let's do it. That's what you need to do. If you hear your question today, then email info@studentofthegun.com with your name, mailing address, phone number, and email typed into the body, please.
There you go. All right. Is this a phone-in one or is this a write-in one?
This is a write-in one.
All right.
Okay.
I'll go ahead and read it then. This is actually from Clayton Birkland, and it says, what are your views on truck guns and AR pistols? And I assume that he's asking about AR pistols for truck guns.
Mm-hmm.
Do you recommend AR pistols for truck guns? If not, what would you recommend?
Okay, this is actually something that has just kind of come about in the last 10 years or so. I will say it's come about in the last 10 years or so mainstream. People who've lived in the country, who lived on ranches, who lived on farms, who've worked out in the far wide open spaces of America have always had truck guns. They've always had guns that they keep in the truck. I mean, I've known guys who ranchers and farmers and stuff that always keep a rifle because they never know when they're out feeding the cattle or tending to doing chores. They see a coyote or whatever, and they're like, I got to get that sucker. So that's not uncommon. But it being mainstream and people using the term truck gun is actually something that's relatively new. Now, when we're talking about a truck gun, we're talking about you want something that can be maneuvered in and out of a vehicle relatively easily. That's why you want a compact, short type gun. A long rifle a rifle that has a 22-inch barrel and an overall length of 42 inches or whatever is great, but getting in and out of the bed of a truck or the cab of a truck, get out of the bed if you want, get out of the cab of a truck can be a pain in the butt, right? You can't move it around and so forth. So what are people using? Well, people are using AR pistols. Fantastic. Why isn't you say, well, I carry a sidearm on me and who cares? It's stupid. Well, the fact of the matter is any kind of a long gun is inherently more accurate than a pistol because the fact of the matter is you have 4 points of contact on that gun instead of 2. You have both hands, you have a cheek weld, you have a shoulder weld, right? So you're going to be more accurate. It has more inherent accuracy than any handgun would. And you say, oh, I don't believe you. Well, believe me whether you do or don't. Now, as far as cartridges are concerned, the fact of the matter is, even if it's coming out of a 7.5-inch barrel or 10.5-inch barrel or 14-inch barrel, whatever size the barrel is, a .223 cartridge is inherently more powerful than a 9mm or 45 or 40 or whatever. So the reason we use these kind of guns as home defense tools is because they're power tools, right? An AR, .223, 5.56 is a power tool. It is going to stop whatever animal you want to make stop way faster and way more efficiently than any handgun you could possibly carry. Handguns are not power tools. Handguns are convenience tools. We carry handguns so that we always have something on us. But if we know or we have the opportunity to carry a long gun, an AR pistol, then we do it. I will caution you from my own personal experience, when you start getting really short with these rifle barrels with 5.56, I know 7.5 for what, I don't know how we settled on that. Why not 8? Why not 7? Why not 8? How did we get to this magic 7.5-inch number? Like 10.5. There's a lot of 10.5-inch AR barrels out there. Why not 11? What's the difference with a 1/2 inch? I don't know. But I can tell you I've shot a lot of 5.56 guns from 20-inch barrels to 18 to 16 to 14 to 10.5 to 7.5. And the shorter the barrel gets, generally, the more finicky the rifle becomes or the gun becomes when it comes to ammunition. And I actually have seen this thing called bullet tumble. If you don't know what bullet tumble is, that's when the bullet fails to stabilize properly and it actually just goes whoop, 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 and it flips down range like an errant football, like a football that was thrown by an RTARD or a TikTok, right? And the first time I ever experienced this, and it was probably 20 years ago, maybe not 20, maybe 15 or 18 years ago, shooting paper, and you get these weird keyholes. Instead of a perfect round hole, it looks like the shape of a bullet, like a bullet was tumbling and it flipped through the paper, the cardboard. And you're like, what? That's not supposed to do that. No, it's not supposed to do that. The reason is depending on the ammunition, the bullet weight, the velocity, and so forth, if the barrel is only 7.5 inches long, that bullet may not have time to stabilize. So when it comes out, it's going to do weird things. What you're going to have to do, if you are one of these guys, you're like, no, I absolutely have to have a 7.5-inch AR pistol. I've got to have one. I've got to have it. Okay. What you're going to need to do is you're going to need to get a variety of ammunition from, I would say, 45 grain, 50 grain, all the way up to 77. And you're going to have to very meticulously sit down at a bench and you say, that's fun. I love to do that. Okay, great. Sit down on a bench and shoot paper or cardboard at, let's say, 50 yards, and then compare it and see what kind of results you get. Because you may or may not like the results you're getting from certain ammunition. And let's be practical. The shorter the barrel, the shorter the practical distance you're going to get. If you have a 7.5-inch AR, I would say 50 to 75 yards is probably, well, depending. I mean, who made it, bullet weight, stabilization, all that stuff. But you're looking at about a 75-yard gun. Now I have a couple of different 10.5-inch rifle caliber pistols. And we can ding silhouettes at 100 yards. We've dinged them at 200 yards, steel silhouettes at 200 yards. And I have people say, yeah, but how much how much is, velocity still behind the bullet at 200 yards? And I'm like, I don't know, bro. I mean, stand down range at 200 yards and catch this bullet. You can figure it out. Just do the math. Just do the math.
And that's where I would say, well, what's the goal for this thing going to be? What do you have the truck gun for? Is it because you're going hunting? Because are you going hunting and you need a longer range precision rifle, then probably not an AR pistol is not the way to go.
Right.
But if you're not going to have it for a long range precision rifle hunting excursion, then 200 yards is a pretty long way for anything you need to do with a truck gun.
Oh, yeah. And I know what people are thinking without saying it. They're saying they're looking around, they're watching the news, they're seeing what's happening in Kentucky and all over the place. And they're like, what if my car's surrounded and I can't get out? I can't drive out. What do I do if there's a bunch of yahoos and they're like going to throw fire bombs at my car? FYI, if someone tries to throw a firebomb at your car, that's deadly force.
Yeah. That's when you step out with your flamethrower and you go at it.
Yeah. So, that's deadly force.
Whatever you do, we know that the answer is not to jump out of your car, get a recurved bow out of the back seat, and knock an arrow. We've seen the video.
That guy was...
However...
Yeah.
He has
different strokes for different folks, I guess. There you go. So that's my talk on truck guns. That's my talk on truck guns. All right, Jared, thank the top contributors to the Student of the Gun public group, please.
I'm going to jump over. Before I get too far into this one, I do want to say that I'm kind of disappointed because last week I read through the names and only one person contacted me about one of the names that I read. And when I read it, I was like, ooh, this is going to be great. I'm going to get a lot of feedback from this one. But it just didn't happen. I had one person. So I'm going to read these names again.
I know who you're talking about, too.
Okay, good. Number 10. So this is the top contributors to the Student of the Gun public group, and I'm pulling these numbers from Facebook. We also have a group that's off Facebook at this point in time. If I know we might have some new listeners that have never heard this before. So if you are curious on how to get into the group and you're not on Facebook currently, just do me a favor. Send an email to info@studentofthegun.com. That'll be the easiest way for you. Number 10 this week is Alan Blake. 9 is John Smith. 8 is Andrew Reinert. 7 is Derek Babcock. 6, Melissa Ridings. 5 is Jeremiah Mason. 4 is Bernie Gallenstein. 3 is Daniel Larson. 2 is Haywood Jabloni. Number 1 is Trent Wood. Thank you guys for taking the time and the effort to put that, spend your time there in the group, actually posting and commenting. And like I've said before, the easiest way to rise to the top is to share news that you're interested in. But when you do that, add your own personal commentary. But then also comment on other people's posts as well and let them know what you think about it. And be polite. Thank you.
So Haywood was number 2 this week?
Yeah, Haywood Jabloni was number 2.
Is it Jabloni with an L?
Jabloni, Jabloney. Haywood Jabloni.
Oh.
Okay.
Interesting. All right. So thank you very much. And don't forget, Clayton, to send all your info in so you get the SWAT Fuel. SWAT Fuel wants you to have a stronger body, sharper mind. Right now, go to SWATfuel.com. Use the promo code SOTG. All right. Duracoat. Why? Because life is too short to have an ugly gun.
Oh, you got it this time.
If you guys saw the pictures recently of the Tiger Stripe Glock 17 that I did. Yes, I did a Duracoat Tiger Stripe pattern. It's been... you say, well, when did you shoot it? I just did. I went out the other day and shot it. And I did kind of a twofer. I hadn't shot it since I had Duracoated it. I had let it cure, let the coat get really hard before I went out to the range with it. And I also had some of the Magpul, the GL9. If you're familiar with the Magpul catalog, a couple of years ago, they came out, maybe more than a couple, maybe a few years ago, they came out with a standard capacity Glock 9 magazine they came out with this one for a Glock 17. Then they came out one for the Glock 19. And now they have a whole variety of Glock 9mm magazines, and and they're all under the GL line, a GL9. So it's a PMag GL9. Well, what I had recently, and if you guys watch the unboxing video that I did, I had the standard 17-round version, then I had a 21-round version, and then I had a 27-round version. And what I did, because I wanted to check the springs and all that, I went ahead and stuffed them full, left them full, set them on a shelf, and didn't mess with them. Just let them sit. And that was about the same time that I did the Duracoat job. Well, I took them all out to the range and shot them, and guess what? Bing, bing, bing. Zero problems, zero malfunctions. The 21 round ran great. The 27 round ran great. And I believe, I know we're not on Brownells right now, we're on Duracoat, but I think Brownells actually has those on sale this week. So if you're listening to this right now, I feel very certain that Brownells has a sale going on the 9mm magazines. So there you go. But if you'd like to have a not ugly gun, and I don't have an ugly Glock 17 now, I think it looks pretty cool. Go to DuracoatFirearmFinishes.com. All right, we're going to get into great detail with the Crossbreed Holsters chest rig on Wednesday, but today I will tell you, if you would like to pre-order one of the brand new Crossbreed Holsters chest rigs, do so. Go to crossbreedholsters.com, use the promo code SOTG18, and guess what?
What?
Well, they have a standard version, and then they have what they call the Founder series. The Founder is Mark Craighead, and it's a brown leather. It looks pretty Gucci. It's a really nice looking product. So you can either get the standard black leather, or you can upgrade with a double D or a double dose of pimpin'. You can upgrade to the Founder series for only $10 more. But here's what we know. If you use the promo code SOTG18, your discount is such that it's like getting it's like getting it for free. It's like getting the upgrade for free at no charge. So what you guys can do is just bop on over to crossbreedholsters.com, pre-order one of their new chest rigs, go ahead and choose the Founders. You're going to want the Founders edition, and then enter SOTG18 as a promo code. Look what you just did. You basically just got the upgrade for free. You're welcome.
But remember, using the promo code doesn't automatically get you the upgrade. You still have to choose the option in the cart.
Yes, you have to choose the option, then put in the promo code, and it's like getting it at no cost. There you go. All right, we just talked about Brownells, but if you go to brownells.com, sign up for their newsletter, you will always know. Paul, how did you know that Brownells had 9mm magazines on sale? Glock mags. I knew because I signed up for their newsletter. It's not a super secret. It's not a secret thing. You can do it too. Yes, you. And you and you and you, Cubby, Roy, Annette, all of you guys can sign up right now. Yep, I just did it. Okay, the GL9 magazines currently, the G19 one is on sale. The G17 one is on sale. The 21 round version is on sale. As I speak the words into this microphone, they're running a sale. So if you want to take advantage of it, do it. If you don't, hey, you're an American. Don't take advantage of it. There you go. All right, it's time for new listeners to perk up their ears and pay attention to what Zach's going to tell you.
Attention, new listeners. We produced a complimentary online training course called 7 Training Tips That Could Save Your Life. Get instant access by joining the Student Lounge for free at studentofthegun.com. Do you watch Student of the Gun TV, read the blog, and follow us on Facebook? If you answered no to any of these questions, you are wrong, but you can easily fix yourself. Go to studentofthegun.com to find everything SOTG.
Ba-bum, bada-bum-bum-bum, bada-bing-bing-boom. All right. Hey, where is Rifleman 101? There it is. Rifleman 101. Jared, you know what we should start doing? We've got, all right, you guys, if you haven't been paying attention, I don't know where you've been, but if you haven't been paying attention, we are hosting a precision rifle class this weekend, and then we're doing another one next weekend. Yep. So we're doing a back-to-back. That's just the way it worked. It worked out that way because that's the openings that they had at the ranch. So there you go. Right now, it's it is. If you're listening to this on Monday, you're like, yeah, it's kind of too late for me to sign up for rifle class. But what you can do... Well,
not really. This weekend, yes, but next weekend, August 7th through the 9th, you essentially have 2 weeks. If you've got the equipment already and you're within driving distance, then it's definitely not too late. So you can actually get more information on there's all of the information, all the questions that have been asked about this class are on SOTGU.com. And you can go there, get all the information. We would love to see you in the August 7th through the 9th class.
There you go. SOTGU.com. We have a celebrity chef all lined up for you guys. A lot of good stuff. And the people who come will not regret it. You absolutely will not regret it. All right, I got a story for you guys right now. Jared, will you open that story?
Yep, it's loading.
Loading.
This is July 14th, 2020. It says floods and the coronavirus create more uncertainty for China as food prices climb. There's 3 bullet points that say key points. I'm not going to read those. I'm just going to read the story. Elevated food prices are just one of many new challenges China needs to face in the wake of the coronavirus outbreak. This sounds like they're selling more fear here. Food prices rose 11.1% in June from a year ago, according to the National Bureau of Statistics. Weekly data from the Ministry of Commerce, man, that's crazy, Ministry of Commerce, showed prices of agricultural food products rose 1.2% in the week ended July 5th from a week ago. Prices rose another 0.8% in the week through Sunday, according to the Commerce Ministry.
Okay, let's go ahead. Jump down. So, yeah, COVID, Kung Flu, you started it. It's your fault. I don't have a hard time feeling sorry for you guys. But go down to flooding.
Okay. Flooding adds to uncertainty. Severe floods, which some have described as the worst since at least 1998, have left at least 141 people dead or missing, according to state media. Direct economic losses have surpassed 86 billion won, which is 12.3 billion American US dollars, with about 29,000 homes destroyed and more than 2.24 million emergency relocations.
That's 2.24 million people had to be relocated.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That's a BFD. Yeah. So what did Winnie the Pooh have to say?
Over the weekend, Chinese President Winnie the Pooh described the flooding situation as grim, and that the response he entered a critical period.
Has entered a critical period.
So the response to this flooding has entered a critical period.
Yeah, I saw a companion story where they sent the Chinese army out to blow up some dams to relieve, of course, and they said that was an extreme response to the flooding, because what happens when you blow up the dam? It's not there anymore. Yeah. And then that water goes other places. You say, well, BFD, Paul, this is China. We don't care. Yeah, we should care. Why should we care, Paul? Because despite the Kung flu, we're still beholden to China for a lot of stuff. We shouldn't be. The United States of America should never be in a position where a disaster or whatever in another country negatively affects us, right? I mean, that's kind of crazy, wouldn't you think? Remember only like 2 or 3 months ago when we mentioned that a huge percentage, it's something, what was the percentage of pharmaceutical drugs are made in China, Jared? It was like 75 or 80%.
I can't remember, but we had talked about that on a show.
Yeah, and where did that go? One of our congressmen put forth a bill that said, hey, we probably should bring our pharmaceutical manufacturing back to the United States. And why are we reliant upon a foreign nation for our medicine? Because if a foreign nation either A, gets mad at us and says, screw you guys, you Yankee capitalist pigs, or B, they get something like this, then that would negatively affect our supply of pharmaceutical drugs. Doesn't seem to make a lot of sense, does it? From a national security standpoint, why would you outsource something that important?
Well, but you don't understand. Why would you need to focus on national security when you can optimize the supply chain, and then you don't really need to even focus on national security anymore because there's no danger. Everybody's making money and it's fine.
Yeah, we're all making money. You know, we're doing well. Why worry about it, Paul? Why would you outsource something that's critical? And that brings us right to where we are right now, about being a warrior in a garden and about being more self-sufficient. How many of you have completely and totally outsourced all of your food to another person or entity or whatever?
I would say.
You're like, well, what do you want me to do, Paul? You want me to actually store food and grow food and have food, and, you know?
Yeah.
No, I want you to be completely dependent on an invisible supply chain and someone else to make sure that you have what you need to eat.
Yep. And I think we need to be a little bit more clear here. We don't expect you personally to be able to farm animals, grow food, be an electrician, be a car repairman. What else is there?
That'd be a mechanic, a car repairman.
Mechanic, and there's some other stuff. You don't have to do all of that yourself, and it's actually more beneficial to have a community of people around you locally that everybody does something, and they're good at that thing, so that's what they do. Because if you try to do all those things, you're going to be mediocre at best at all of them. And but if you really focus on something, on one thing, and you distribute it across a couple other people in your community, then as long as you're pulling your weight, then everybody's going to be fine.
This kind of harkens back to what we said last week on the it was a bonus hour number 1. Get out of the city, get back to the country. Yeah. I think it was bonus hour number 1.
I thought that was a public show.
Was that a public show, Zach, or was that? I think it was bonus hour number 1.
It was bonus hour number 1 from last week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which, if you want to hear that, you can go to getsotg.com and you can hear the full episode.
Getsotg.com is what he said, for those of you that can't listen to extremely expedited voices.
Yes, getsotg.com. And what do I mean by that? Your mom made a comment last night when we were at the wrestling thing, and a lot of people probably are hearing this. They're like, well, how did you do that? How could you possibly do that? Did everyone have masks on? And how did you have 60, 80 people all 6 feet apart and da 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 da? It's because we didn't. Did you die? No, we didn't die. Where are the major problems in our country right now with COVID and rioting and so forth?
Where all the people are.
It ain't in the country, brother. It isn't in a town with 10,000 people. All right? All the problems in our nation, whether it's crime, whether it's horrible poverty, whether it's the COVID, the Kung flu, it's in cities that have greater than 1 million people. and in some cases greater than like 500,000 people, right? What does that tell you? It's not good to be in a city. What we've done is we've pushed people into cities, and we've taken away their ability to be self-sufficient. And they become 100% dependent on this fragile supply chain.
Hold on a second. I need to ask a question to Rolf here. He says we don't use masks here in Sweden. So what is Sweden doing?
Are you going to wait for him to answer?
Well, he'll answer while you're talking, but I just want to know what they're doing there.
Did you guys see the WHO? I dropped it into actually socialist media. Who? The doctor that came out, and she said in a news conference, the chances of an asymptomatic COVID person, right, passing it on are very rare. Means it almost never happens. Because why are we told we have to wear masks? Oh, you might have it and not know it. You might be perfectly healthy. You're not sick, but you've got it. And you're going to pass it on to someone else. And the World Health Organization, the lady, she's like, from what we're finding is that's not the case. And then they started quoting places like Singapore and other countries, like the doctor in Dallas did. And she said, well, so what's happening is unless you actually are sick, fever, cough, chills, all that stuff, respiratory distress, if you're just a dude walking around feeling healthy, you're not a threat to the community.
He said,
what?
He said nothing. Some schools are closed.
Wow. So, but the Rona, but everyone's going to die. But don't you know? No. Well, you see, the problem in Sweden, the difference in Sweden is Trump isn't up for re-election in Sweden.
Oh, he said some schools have been closed and some rules about standing 6 feet from each other. Other than that, nothing.
Yeah.
So finally, people respect our frickin' distance. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But anyway.
So, yeah. And all the other countries, Singapore, Japan, you're like, well, why isn't Japan? Like, why isn't everyone in Japan dead?
Yeah.
I mean,
so
Tokyo.
Well, let's get back on topic. What can you do to practically do to be more self-sufficient?
Okay. Number one, you need to start. If you haven't started already, I don't know what to tell you. But you should have that plan. Like if in the morning you woke up, you went to sleep, you woke up in the morning, turned on the radio, and there was a disaster, and all the stores are closed. Why are you making that weird face, Jared?
Because I don't know what you're talking about. You said you should have that plan. I don't know what plan.
Oh, okay. We've actually published it like 100,000 times.
Well, I don't know what
7-day, 14-day plan.
Oh, okay, yeah.
If you woke up, you went to bed, you woke up, there's a tornado, there's a hurricane, there's an earthquake, whatever. You cannot leave your house and go to a store to get food, water, anything, right? You just have to be home and use what you've got. How long could you do that before you were hurting, before your family was drinking out of the toilet or whatever,
So you're talking about the gold, silver, platinum plans that you've published previously. Yeah. I didn't hear you say that, so I just wanted to make sure the listening audience knows what plans we're talking about.
Yeah. You need to have a basic plans for self-sufficiency. 3 days, 7 days, 14 days. That's, and I don't expect everyone to go out tomorrow and buy a year's worth of rice and grain and everything and store it. I don't expect that.
Do it in small
doses. But I expect you to start. And then the bronze, silver, and gold plan. The platinum plan is the ability to produce food yourself. All right? Whether it's bucket potatoes, whether it is a raised bed garden in your backyard, whatever it is. Now, obviously, I don't expect you living in suburbia to raise everything that you eat. It's not practical. But you need to get away from 100% reliance on somebody else to a little bit more reliant on yourself, a little bit more reliant on your community, on your family, and so forth. Think about it. If you could go from 100% reliant upon an invisible supply chain to, let's say, only 50%. Let's say you're producing, each year you produce half of the vegetables that you're going to consume. That's fantastic. If you live in the South, if you live in a moderate climate, the truth of the matter is you can grow almost all year long. You can start in March and keep growing until December.
I was on Instagram this morning and I got an ad for a book. It's actually a whole series of like books and stories and essays and stuff. And it was the title of it was Self-Sufficient Home or something like that. But it was, and I ordered it, and I'll come back after I read it and see if it's actually got legitimate information in it. And it's about how if you have a 1/4 acre of property, which is not a lot of property, if you have a 1/4 acre of property, it's about how to be completely self-sufficient with 0.25 acres. And one thing that annoys me is this is kind of separate from this 0.25 acre thing, but people are like, oh yeah, well, I don't have my own food, but I have guns and ammo, so my neighbors have food. And I'm like, yeah, so you're gonna all of a sudden turn into a douchebag that's gonna walk into your neighbor's house who you've got a great relationship with and you've known for a long time, and you're just gonna steal their food. No, you're not.
No, you're not. And the fact is, if you won't last like that. You might be able to do it once. You might be able to do that one time.
Yeah, and then you're gonna have to live with it, and it's just
you do it one time, and then there's gonna be a freaking target on your back.
That is not the plan.
The most important thing you can have is a community, because this whole notion that I'm gonna do it all on my own. I don't need anyone else. I'm the lone wolf. I'm the this, I'm that. That's suicide. You can do that for a couple of days, but that's about it. You're not going to do that for a week, 2, a month, 6 months, whatever.
That's one thing I really appreciate about and one reason that I chose the neighborhood that I chose to move into is because the one that I was renting in was full of people that don't really get it. They don't understand the whole point of self-sufficiency and whatnot. Zach, there's a question mark in there. Notes for you. Please answer it. But the one I talked to my neighbor yesterday, and him and I could be friends. We're on the same page, and I'm like, ooh, this is great. I finally have that where my home is. I've got neighbors that understand.
Yeah. So right now, you should be, and this is the one thing that I want to drive home to you. You say, well, Paul, it's late. It's already July, and I'm not a gardener. I've never been a gardener, whatever. Here's something you need to understand. Your first year is going to be your practice year. But you need to get your practice year out of the way. If your thought process is, well, if things ever go bad, God forbid, if things ever go bad, then I will get my shovels and rakes and I will tear my lawn up and I will turn it into a garden if things ever get bad. That is not the time to try and practice growing food, because the first year you're probably not going to succeed, or you're going to have a lot of things that you didn't really, right? You're going to, depending on where you live, there's this crazy thing called climate. Climate in Wyoming is different climate in Mississippi, different than in Ohio, different than Maine, and so forth. Certain vegetables, certain plants grow better in certain climates. And if you think, oh, I'm going to plant X and I'm going to harvest 50 pounds of X, you might be living in a climate where that food doesn't really grow very well. And you don't know that, or you haven't researched that, or whatever. So your very first year of producing your own food, that's going to be your learning experience. So you need to get that out of the way. You need to learn those lessons if you haven't already. I mean, a lot of you guys are like, dude, I've been growing my own food for 30 years. I know what I'm doing. Okay, I get that, but there's a lot of people in the audience who haven't. You need to get that first year out of the way.
Wait.
That's when you learn the lessons.
Hold on a second. If you are one of those people that Dad just talked about, where you've been growing your food for your entire adult life, then contact info@studentofthegun.com. Send us a message, because we want to pick your brain and publish some material for our A, grad program, and B, for the public, so that they can utilize that knowledge.
Yeah. So if you want to be, the long story short, and we'll finish it up, if you want to be a warrior in a garden, you need to actually get in the garden. Not in the future. You're like, well, we have some seeds in an emergency cupboard, and if it ever happens, brothers and sisters, this should be obvious, but it wasn't obvious in Chad or Chaz or Chop or, whatever. You can't just take your lawn and throw vegetable seeds in it and grow tomatoes and potatoes and all kinds of stuff. It doesn't work like that. So if you want to move towards self-sufficiency, you need to get that basically, it's like I'm not going to get crude, but the first time you ever have relations, you're probably not very good at it. Then you practice a bunch and you get better. That's kind of like growing a garden. So if you want to be a warrior in a garden, you need to get into the garden. You need to get started. All right. And the whole idea that, well, if there's ever a crisis, I'll grow food then. Food don't grow overnight, bro. Just saying. You're going to be awful hungry while you're watching those tomato plants grow. So get started. Stop relying on other people for the most important things in your life. Stop relying on some invisible food chain that can break down at any moment. Get going. And I'm actually very, very gratified that a lot of you guys, the Patriot Fire Team manual is 4 years old now, over 4 years old.
Is it really?
And a lot of you guys are still picking it up.
Wow.
That's fantastic. That's good news.
We have good news for you guys coming up.
And by next week, we will have something new for you guys, something new that's related to the Patriot Fire Team. So stand by. Until then, remember, you are a beginner once,
but you're a student for life. And we're back for some extra stuff. You guys that stayed, you're welcome.
All right. It's time for the bonus. What happened? Did Zach get up to go to the bathroom or something?
No, for some I hit the button and it just didn't start playing. So let's go ahead and try this again in 3, 2. Yeah, it's not playing for some.
Okay. Well, see you guys live.
File's corrupted.
Yep.
All right, talk to you guys later. Thanks for tuning in.